Live, KVRR Local News at 8 is on right now.
22 years later, firefighters still dying from fallout from 9/11's Ground Zero. We're taking you to memorials here at home for those who died. Then more first responder sacrifices honored. We'll show you how the Bison Nation is bringing the bravery of the Fargo police forward for the start of the season. And it's almost a month since those big evacuations from Canada's massive wildfires. We'll show you how those homeowners are salvaging what's left of harvest season this morning. And enjoy the fruits of your labors. We're going to take you to one of the first celebrations of the fall season this morning.
Live, KVRR Local News at 8 is on right now.
Good morning. It is just after 8 a.m. Thanks so much for joining us on this 9/11 anniversary for your only local news from 7 to 9 a.m. I'm Emily Welker. We're taking a live look at the Ground Zero Memorial there in New York City as a variety of dignitaries and guests, family members, reading off that long, long list of the names of those who perished. We are going to be bringing you a little bit, too, of live coverage from sites here in our metro area who are memorializing the tragedy on the 22nd anniversary of 9/11 and the terror attacks on the U.S., that deadly day that lives in infamy. All right, that's a little bit later in our hour, but in the meantime, we're going to have to start off the hour with a check of the weather. KVRR morning meteorologist Mariah Bush is off today, so we have a special guest, KVRR's chief meteorologist, Max Mueller, pinch hitting for her this morning. Thanks so much for being here, Max.
Yeah, it's early. I'm not used to being up this early, considering I used to do morning weather out when I lived in Idaho, but it's returned to the early, I guess, and it's feeling maybe a little bit more like fall out there this morning. Temperatures into the 50s. We are seeing some cloudy skies here into Fargo as that sun is coming up. Despite what the icon here is telling you, it is not sunny out there right now. We are seeing those temperatures staying on the cool side of things. And it's going to be staying fairly cool into the rest of the day. 56 rather right now here into Fargo, 54 up into Grand Forks, 52 into Cooperstown. Some areas, especially further to the south and west, are seeing a little bit of some cooler weather out there. 46 right now into Oaks, 50 into Gwinner, 49 into Frederick, South Dakota, 54 into Alexandria, 55 Bemidji. So some cooler conditions to start things off this morning. And that's in part thanks to some cloudier skies that we're also seeing out there this morning. Some areas of some rain further to the north. There are a couple of some showers kind of popping up from the Steel area towards Jamestown, kind of right along I-94 further to the west here of Fargo. But the main area of rain up here along Highway 2 north of Devil's Lake and just starting to move into maybe the Grand Forks area. And we're going to be expecting this area of rain here to continue to work its way further to the south. And we are going to be seeing some mainly chances of some light rain, but at times we have been seeing this line up further to the north, getting a little bit to the kind of moderate to strong side of things. But through the rest of the afternoon, still going to be seeing some chances of some showers. That line really looks like it's going to be breaking up as it moves further to the south. So by about 1:30 this afternoon, you see it start to move into the Jamestown area, up towards Carrington. A couple chances of some raindrops here into Fargo and up over towards Red Lake as well. And as this rain kind of continues to move out further to the south and east, behind it to end the day and get into early tomorrow morning, it looks like we're going to be seeing some clear skies out there. That's going to be helping us get fairly chilly to start things off tomorrow morning before some more clouds do start to move in closer to sunrise. And then the rest of the day looks like things are going to be clearing out a little bit more. We're expecting some of those clouds to be sticking around through much of the day today, and that is going to be meaning some cooler weather out there. 64 here into Grand Forks and into Mayville, 65 Crookston, Halleck, 60 into Roseau, 63 into Thief River Falls, 70 into Fergus Falls, 68 into Alexandria, 71 into Wheaton, 65 into Fargo and Moorhead, 70 Sisseton, 68 Allendale, 65 into Jamestown with those winds out of the north, 5 to 15 miles an hour 30. On the KVRR Weather 37-day forecast. Staying a little bit on the cool side for our Tuesday. High of 69 tomorrow. But we are expecting some sunnier skies by the time we get into the afternoon and evening hours. The rest of the week looking like it's going to be very, very nice out there. 74 Wednesday, 79 on Thursday, 78 on Friday. By the weekend, we're seeing those temperatures into the low 80s and those very sunny skies out there. And also other good news is we're not dealing with nearly as much of that wildfire smoke as well, which we were seeing last week. But the rest of this week looking very comfortable, and the weekend looking even nicer out there.
All right. Thanks so much, Max. New this morning, a strong mix of emotions sweeping over our country as we Americans stop to commemorate 22 years since the September 11th attacks. But while memorial ceremonies are taking place to honor the fallen, first responders are calling attention to the pain many former 9/11 rescuers are still grappling to manage. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera is in New York City with the latest.
Today, the country remembers the nearly 3,000 people who died and the acts of heroism that followed after the deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil.
We have the memorial pools, and I come here often, and I say my thoughts and prayers to my brother.
Friends and family members of those who were killed on September 11th are holding on to the memories of their loved ones.
The children of my sister, Diane Bullis-Snyder. They have evolved into amazing human beings. And one of the things that I notice when we spend time together is that I'm blessed with a glimpse into the spirit of my sister.
Monday marks 22 years since the attacks at New York's World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the airplane crash site in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. But while memorial ceremonies for those who died will take place across the country, the New York City Fire Department is also calling attention to 9/11 first responders still struggling with lasting health effects from handling toxic materials at Ground Zero.
For them, 9/11 is every day.
The number of firefighters who died from 9/11 related illnesses continues to rise. The FDNY recently added 43 new names.
This brings the total post 9/11 members added to the wall to 331.
And while today will carry a solemn note, New York City Mayor Eric Adams says it's important to remember how the losses brought the country together.
Remember September 12th. This city got up. When we got up, America watched.
Instead of attending the memorial events at the attack sites, President Joe Biden will honor the victims with remarks at an Air Force base in Anchorage, Alaska, after returning from Vietnam. In New York, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Well, here at home, a Moorhead man is awaiting formal charges in jail this morning after he's accused of setting fire to his home and refusing to come down to the roof while the fire department put it out. He also allegedly threatened to jump. Police are holding 41-year-old Sean Arenholtz for arson, false imprisonment, assault, and domestic assault. SWAT negotiators talked him down after nearly 8 hours. They say Arenholtz had been involved in a disturbance with a female who lived in the home before starting the fire. He was also arrested back in April for allegedly setting a fire in his apartment building in Moorhead. Nobody got hurt in either incident. And 2 people and a dog are lucky to be alive this morning after escaping a mobile home fire in South Fargo. Crews were called out around 2:30 Sunday afternoon to 4514 San Juan Drive South. They found a fire blazing in the rear of the structure, quickly put that out. The house now has significant fire and smoke damage. Now, the cause of the fire is still being investigated. The American Red Cross is offering assistance to people who were displaced. And we are learning more about a crash that killed a 64-year-old Purim driver when she collided with a pickup in Otter Tail County Friday night. It happened at the intersection of Highway 10 and County Road 60. State Patrol says Diane Tighe was driving a car east on Highway 10 about 5 miles northwest of Purim. The pickup driver, 67-year-old David Goebel of Eden Prairie, was headed westbound. When he turned onto County Road 60, the 2 vehicles crashed. Goebel suffered non-life-threatening injuries. And it was a moving start to the new Bison football season. The coin flip responsibility is taken over by the surviving Fargo police officers Andrew Dotis, Tyler Hawes, and Zach Robinson of the July 14th shooting attack. The officers were joined by their families out on the field. Officer Hawes flipped the coin, and the Bison won the toss. Fallen officer Jake Willeen also honored and recognized during the opening, along with other first responders. These officers were ambushed by a gunman while responding to a traffic crash in July. Officer Robinson shot and killed the gunman. Willeen was killed while Dotis and Haas were injured. Both recently got out of the hospital to continue recovering at home.
This week we realized that sometimes there's a lot of bigger things in this world than games. And so with the people that we honor today, Coach Roll, it is just a game sometimes, but it's fun how this game can bring people together.
Coach Entz also referring to offensive coordinator Tyler Roll. He lost his mother earlier this week. The Bison beat Maine 44-7. And of course, we will have your full sports coverage coming up tonight at 6 and 9. Max, you shoot a lot of sports. Is this a good day to get out and do some photography? What do you think?
Well, it's photography-wise, it's actually pretty nice. With the clouds overhead, it means very even shadows, no harsh light.
Very flattering.
For sports, it's not great. You like the sunny skies so you can boost that shutter speed and freeze the action. But
mixed bag, I guess.
Yeah, you take what you get. We are going to be seeing some rain. I'll have more on that coming up in my forecast in just a bit.
Start my sound on 3, 2, 1.
You're watching KVRR Local News, where local news comes first.
That reminds me, I saw Max on Friday.
This out in the real world?
He was shooting a West Fargo game.
Gotcha.
That I was working.
So wake up in Casey's country, where pizza is breakfast. Make pizza and soda your breakfast could just go once.
3, 2, 1.
Well, some cloudy skies out there through much of the region to start things off for this Monday morning. A bit of a gloomy start to our work week out there, and some chances of some rain. We are maybe seeing a little bit of, if you look carefully, maybe seeing a little bit of some raindrops making it to the ground at Devil's Lake on the main street here, but some light rain really kind of possible here through areas further to the north right now, and as we continue through the rest of the morning. Those winds out of the north as well, about 7 miles an hour. Those winds bring in a little bit of some cooler conditions and going to continue to bring some cooler conditions here through pretty much the rest of the day and into tomorrow. Part of that cooler weather, also the clouds and the rain, which is, as you can see here, starting to move into the Devil's Lake area. So likely seeing maybe a couple raindrops making it to the ground. Still a little bit further to the north of that rain of the Grand Forks area, and mainly seeing that rain into parts of northeast North Dakota, starting to spill over into Minnesota a little bit, and a couple showers starting to go up around the Jamestown area. But through the rest of the day, we're expecting that that main area of rain further to the north to continue to work its way to the south, and keep our temperatures just into the mid-60s as the day goes on. Some cloudier skies, but after that rain moves through, later on into the evening hours and overnight, we are expecting a little bit of some clearer skies out there. Some cool conditions to start things off for our Tuesday. 69 still, some cool weather for our Tuesday as we get to the afternoon. 74 Wednesday, 79 Thursday. As we get to the end of the week, 78 on Friday, and into the low 80s by the time we end the week, get into the weekend. And it's looking like it's going to be some very, very nice weather out there. And we're getting into the late summer. We're getting closer to fall. We're not technically to fall yet, but I'd say that it's bonfire season. I think it's that time of year.
My pumpkin candle
I like
says
it. You will get no
otherwise.
argument from me there because that's the thing is like once it hits like the mid 80s to 90s, you kind of don't want to burn anything.
No.
You know? Yeah.
No, it's just too hot.
But we are kind of creeping closer to that like first frost date, aren't we?
Well, some parts of Minnesota already gotten a little bit of frost with some of that cool weather, but yeah, we're getting closer.
All right. I am not ready for it to be the end of growing season officially. I'm really not.
No, me neither.
All right. Thanks so much, Max. Well, in the meantime, speaking of growing things, here is your Ag Day Minute.
I'm Clinton Griffiths with today's Ag Day Minute. Two of the largest supermarket chains in the country have announced a plan to sell hundreds of stores. As part of a $25 billion proposed merger, Kroger and Albertsons have entered into an agreement to sell more than 400 stores to C&S Wholesale Groceries. Now, C&S is the owner of Piggly Wiggly Supermarkets and is also a retail supplier to independent grocers. The nearly $2 billion sale includes stores in the Pacific Northwest, the Mountain States, California, Texas, Illinois, and the East Coast. The deal could close early next year. Kroger and Albertsons saying in a statement that this marks a key next step toward the completion of the merger. Global food prices declined last month overall. According to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, the food price index dropped to just over 121 points. That's a more than 2% decline from July, and it's down 24% from its peak set in March of last year. The drop is thanks to a decline in vegetable oil and cereal prices, but rice prices saw a sharp increase due to trade issues in the aftermath of a ban on certain rice exports by India. Oreo bringing back a fan favorite, Red Velvet Oreo, returns to shelves next week for a limited time. With Red Velvet, there are now 12 varieties of Oreos available on store shelves. For more Ag News, watch Ag Day weekdays on the station or anytime at agweb.com.
Well, it is an annual tradition here in our metro. Firefighters from around the metro area honoring the fallen firefighters of 9/11 with a stair climb. It's a tradition that lets them know just what it took to save so many lives. We've shown you that earlier in the show, and we're going to be showing you now live looks at how communities all around the country are memorializing the lives lost at 9/11 on this, the 22nd anniversary. That story is coming up.
Killer.
Lieutenant Commander Patrick J. Murphy, United States Navy Reserve. Christopher C.
Waiting
Newton.
for the next one.
At Papa John's,
Yeah,
they never
awesome.
Thank you. And just a heads up, we are already 116 heavy.
Okay. Well, what? No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
Come on.
Yep.
How?
Blame
You.
Max.
How? I don't know.
Hey,
You don't work on the show anyway. You don't care.
yeah. Does it get me out of here earlier?
I guess.
We have a rundown timer, blood timer, and chat timer. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
So no tunes, but you can open up Prod 2 right now.
Okay.
J. Picor, Jr.
No,
United
just-
States Navy.
Live bug. I'm gonna drop this.
Lisa J.
I'm also
Grant.
gonna drop that new this morning in there. So no new this morning.
Deborah A.
Jump down. We're doing the Biden-China package from the 7, Danielle.
Sue
Coming up.
Rasmussen.
Yes.
Petty Officer First Class Marcia D. Ratchford, United States Navy. Martha
bell.
M. Reski.
Thanks.
All right, this is a live look at the ceremonies going on today commemorating the lives lost in 9/11 at the Pentagon near the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C. That scene, we're coming up on almost 20 minutes now to go to the precise moment 22 years ago. The flight evidently actually cartwheeled into the building in an attempt to take out as many civilians and military personnel as possible as part of the terror attacks on the U.S. Pretty much the worst to this date in U.S. history on U.S. soil. President Biden, in the meantime, is on his way back to the United States this morning after his overseas trip, including visits to India and Vietnam. And later today, Biden will as well commemorate the 22 years since the 9/11 terrorist attacks. As Doug Luzader reports from Washington this morning, much of our president's itinerary has been about countering China.
President Biden says he is not interested in containing China, but that has really been the subtext of this entire trip, trying to counter what many see as the country's biggest threat. President Biden boarding Air Force One in Vietnam this morning, making his way home after efforts to enhance U.S. influence abroad, particularly in Asia. There was a stop at the John McCain Memorial in Hanoi, and he met with government and business leaders there, clearly trying to carve out a larger role for the U.S. in a region where China's influence is growing. Biden tried to temper that message, though.
We're not looking to actually, I have a friend at hurt China right now.
Sincerely, we're all better off if China does well.
The Chinese President Xi Jinping was a no-show at Biden's earlier stop, the G20 in India.
So the U.S. shows up, China does not. That's a good thing for the United States. It gives face to our allies around the world and to countries that are thinking about whom to ally with. Do I want to ally with China or do I want to ally with the United States?
But the long trip may have taken a toll on the president, who appeared confused at times during his news conference.
I'm just following my orders here. Staff, is there anybody haven't spoken to? No, I ain't calling on you. I'm calling on, I said I had 5 questions.
Biden later said he was going to go to bed. He's due to land in Alaska this afternoon. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
All right, here in the Metro, life as a fraternity brother, full of moments like growing mustaches, tracking your personal progress. Well, this morning, an NDSU fraternity is wrapping up their trek for the fellows from Grand Forks to Fargo, bringing awareness to the struggles men face. The Movember Walk, hosted by Sigma Alpha Epsilon, is a national movement focused on preventing suicide among men and raising money for research on prostate and testicular cancer. One member even giving up his sleep to break a record as the group of 5 to 6 marched their way to the NDSU Bison home opener.
I'm rounded up to about 20 hours. It'll be pretty close to 60 miles total that I've walked various members of the frat.
With it being Suicide Prevention Month, we kind of wanted to dedicate this to that pillar of theirs, the mental health and suicide prevention. And it's really just to kind of, as a group of young men ourselves, to stand together and say, hey, it's okay to speak up about mental health.
They raised more than $6,000 over the weekend. They are on their goal, trying to reach $7,500. Well, from walking to running, and you know, you can't run away from your problems, especially when they're mental health related. But this morning, a Fargo-based recovery center is teaming up with a running group to change the way they observe National Recovery Month. KVRR's Hami Rain reports.
Runners Against Destructive Decisions and community walkers are letting it all out on the South Fargo streets for a 5K.
This is the fun stuff, right? So you get to see lots of different people celebrating recovery. Running was an important part of my early recovery journey, so it's very near and dear to my heart. And we really want to give people avenues to get well in whatever form that might be. And running can be a very, very positive experience, or walking, whatever it might be.
It's the first year hosting this fun run or walk as part of National Recovery Month. People from any background are encouraged to join.
So with the running group, RAD, I've actually been running with them for about 10 weeks now. I joined the group a lot longer before then. I had just gotten out of prison recently in March out of a boot camp program, and every other day we run 5 miles. So I saw this group pop up on Facebook, and I wanted to continue that just finding coping mechanisms that are healthy in my life. So I hopped in the group and just been running ever since.
It's a way for everyone to work out their physical muscles to gain peace mentally.
It was good. Every time I run really for my mental health. I'm doing that for my mental health, like just being able to have that alone time with myself. And I go through my mindfulness techniques while I'm running, and then it's really good to get out here with a group of people who love to run too, because then it brings out the competitiveness in me too. So.
Hami Rain, KVRR Local News.
Well, they raise money for Fargo Runners Against Destructive Decisions and Soul Solutions Recovery Center. Well, don't go away, especially not if you need to drive this morning. We're going to tell you why you might want to fill up this morning instead of waiting. That's in 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hey, Emily, I'm going to drop that Canada Gardens.
You don't think we need it?
Well, we're 211 right now, heavy.
Well, I didn't do a T13, so that'll kill 30 seconds.
But then we'll want to do more live 911 stuff.
Well, out there this morning, some cloudy skies to start things off for our Monday morning. 54 right now up into Grand Forks. Those winds out of the north about 5 miles an hour. And those cloudy skies going to be bringing some chances of some rain here through the region, but those temperatures kept a little bit more maybe mild thanks to a lot of that cloud cover. It is still cool in some areas. 48 in Oaks right now, 48 as well into Langdon, 54 into Grand Forks, 56 here into Fargo, 57 to Troy Lakes, 55 into Park Rapids, Bemidji, 54 into Wadena and Alexandria right now. On satellite and radar, well, here is that area of rain right along Highway 2 here, just to the north of Devil's Lake and Church's Ferry, and a little further to the north of the Grand Forks area as well, kind of right along Highway 2, starting to spill into parts of Minnesota as well. Some areas of some showers, some very, very light rain starting to develop kind of around the Jamestown area and over towards Steele as well. But the main area of rain is further to the north, and that's really what we're expecting through the rest of the day. That area of rain further to the north continue to work its way further to the south. As it kind of gets further to the south of Highway 2, you do start to see that line break up a little bit more. Some areas of some maybe heavier rain towards the Carrington area, down towards Jamestown by the early afternoon. Couple raindrops possible here into Fargo and Moorhead. And after we see that line of rain move through, we are expecting a little bit of a clearer end to the day out there as we get into the overnight hours. Still some clear skies. Some more clouds do kind of work their way in into the early morning hours before sunrise tomorrow, but then things expected to be clearing up once again as we get into tomorrow afternoon. And those temperatures still going to be staying maybe a little bit on the cool side as well. 65 today for our high here into Fargo, 64 into Grand Forks, 65 into Jamestown, 59 into Devil's Lake today, 60 into Roseau, 70 into Fergus Falls, Sisseton, and some partly cloudy skies, some chances of some showers through the day, and those winds out of the north 5 to 15 miles an hour on the KVRR Weather Authority 7-day forecast. Still a little bit of some cool weather for our day tomorrow. 69 for a high. Some cool weather to start things off tomorrow as well, down into the 40s, but 74 by Wednesday, 79 by Thursday, and in the week with a whole lot of some very nice weather out there. 78 Friday and into the weekend. We see those temperatures into the low 80s, so things should be awfully nice out there as we get into the weekend. And still feeling a little bit more like fall today, but the end of the week going to be still late summer weather.
I mean, the clock is ticking though, right? Because technically summer is over in about a week, isn't it?
Yeah, the 21st.
Oh.
That's the equinox.
I don't think I'm ready for this.
No, I'm not ready either.
Make it stop, Max.
I wish I could.
Thanks so much. Well, this day in history is one we often begin talking about by saying never forget. We've been talking about it all morning, the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil in modern history. And for many of us, this all unfolded on live TV. Early in the morning, an American Airlines Boeing 767 loaded with 20,000 gallons of jet fuel crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. Hundreds of people were killed instantly. Many more were left trapped alive in the buildings. And live TV coverage at first seemed to indicate it was just a strange accident, but then the second plane struck the second tower and that exploded. And Americans would go on that day to watch coverage from Washington, D.C. of another plane slamming into the Pentagon, and then hear reports about a fourth plane forced down into a Pennsylvania field before it could strike an additional target meant to kill civilians and American leaders. In all, 3,000 some people died in the attack on the World Trade Center, including the first responders who rushed to the rescue of those trapped inside before the second building collapsed. The attack by extremist Muslim terrorists triggered the American war in Afghanistan. And of course, we withdrew from Afghanistan a couple of years ago today. All right, still ahead on KVRR local news, we are going to be talking more about what is going on with gas prices. You might want to think about filling up your tank on the way into work today instead of waiting. We'll explain coming up.
Jerry DeVito.
Robert P. Devitt Jr.
And my father, Damien Meehan. Dad, I love you, and we all miss you very much.
And my uncle.
We're going straight to swoosh on, or reopen on one. Swoosh on one.
Oh no, I mean.
Oh yeah, that's where you should be.
The buzz, like buzz. Forget. The get.
The get. Oh, I don't know yet.
Okay.
We're timed fairly okay right now. We're only 17 seconds heavy.
Okay.
So it depends on them. Max in a tiny bit. That's good.
Winter's winds will be howling soon. Be ready with the early bird magnetic window sale now on at Sunrooms Plus. Right now, get up to 20% off magnetic windows. They'll save energy and stop condensation. Sunrooms Plus, Gateway Drive, Grand Forks.
You have been talking about it all morning on social media.
These are the stories you're making the big buzz today. Okay, so the Writers Guild of America is taking a stand against Drew Barrymore. Production on Barrymore's namesake TV show is set to start soon. And on Sunday, the actress and TV host posted a message on Instagram saying she stands in, quote, solidarity with the strike. However, the WGA says any sort of writing done on the show violates its strike rules and that they are now protesting the move.
The Guild, which has more than 11,000 members, went on strike May 2nd. So far, there's no word on a possible end date.
It's really interesting. I've kind of been trying to piece together what exactly is going on with this. And I think the thing that's confusing for a lot of people is that just because everybody is kind of like under one umbrella agreement for this union, it's kind of not a union. They're all covered under kind of slightly different rules, which is why things like broadcast journalists and so on and so forth can go back to work, but other kinds of writers cannot. And that's where it gets very confusing for a lot of people.
I'm just ready for my favorite shows to go back into production.
I know. I hear you, especially because like the weather's going to start cooling down and we're going to want to spend time inside in front of a screen, but
yeah,
people are pretty passionate about this issue.
Yeah, they are.
All right, well, LeBron James had a visit with some young basketball players in Saudi Arabia. James paying a visit to a basketball clinic in Riyadh last week. The NBA superstar jokingly posting a GIF on social media indicating he would accept a big money move to Saudi Arabia after numerous astronomically high soccer deals were being rumored. The players at the clinic were pretty awestruck seeing LeBron in action in person.
I feel like that's understandable. LeBron broke the all-time NBA scoring record earlier this year. He has 2 seasons left on his current contract with the LA Lakers. James has won NBA titles with the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Miami Heat, and, of course, those Lakers.
I think it's really cool that he's in Saudi Arabia and there's all those young women players that he's like coaching and giving like real life feedback to, you know?
And Saudi Arabia is changing.
It is changing. It is changing. Maybe not fast enough for some people, but any progress is a good sign, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Well, from the ring to the Vatican, Sylvester Stallone takes his family to meet Pope Francis.
Good to meet you.
The pontiff also appearing starstruck, saying he watched the Rocky Stars films growing up. Stallone introducing the Pope to his 3 daughters and his wife and brother.
Then the two pretended to raise their fists, Stallone joking he was ready to box, Pope Francis laughing, pretending to throw a punch. I wonder if either of them speaks any of the other, like much conversational of the other's language. All of this interaction had to be done like between translators, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's kind of hard to understand Stallone to begin with because it's just,
he has sort of like a slushy kind of mouth. He has, I think, a speech impediment, doesn't he?
I'm not sure.
I think he does. Yeah, that's part of the reason. But he's brilliant.
Yes,
Good
he is.
businessman, amazing writer as well as
Yes,
actor.
he is.
Yeah. All right, more fire, obviously hitting Hawaii, but this one, thank goodness, far enough away from people and buildings. The Kilauea volcano broke its long-standing silence Sunday over on Hawaii's Big Island, erupting for the first time in 2 months.
The Hawaii Volcano Observatory says Kilauea's gases will cause downwind volcanic smog. Kilauea's alert level was raised to warning status, and the activation color code went to red. Volcano erupted in January and June of this year with red lava flows that drew spectators. And as long as you keep your distance, it looks pretty beautiful.
It's amazing. Like when I was there as a kid, I saw it from like miles and miles away because I was chicken to walk over like the fresh, because you know like the volcano, like the lava crusts over and it looks solid, but it kind of isn't. So you know, I figured live to tell people on TV about it. You know, don't go down to the ship, so to speak.
I guess it's a good idea. Well, a Tennessee woman is taking business in the front, party in the back to a whole new level, and her extended 80s hairstyle has earned her a world record.
Yeah, and as Ellie Bird reports, her impressive mullet is not the unusual thing, the only unusual thing about her.
Okay.
It's like, would you like this color hair there?
The world's longest mullet sits on the head of East Tennessee native Tammy Manis. She is your 2024 Guinness World Records winner for the world's longest competitive mullet at around 5 feet 8 inches long.
There are 19 different types of mullet. That is a rabbit hole you can go down. By definition, short on the side, short on top, long in the back. People that have it like over their ears and stuff, I call that a shag. But
She says it started in the 80s when she saw a band member with a rat tail, so she got one. When she cut it, she says she immediately regretted it. So on February 9th, 1990, the mullet was born. She says she hasn't looked back besides to make sure she's not stepping on her hair.
it's so funny because in the beginning it's like, oh, you have a rat tail. And then it became, oh, you still have a rat tail? To, no, it's not as negative now.
Manis came in second place for the USA Mullet Championship. This led to her being entered into the Guinness World Records for 2024. When she's not breaking records, she's a public health nurse at the Knox County Health Department, where the mullet is kept in a braid.
When you have the world's longest mullet, you need to make a little adjustments. So, we tuck the tail and we go for a ride.
It is 68 inches long. It has been verified, stretched out. It's fluffy and it kind of draws it up a little bit, but it's almost to my ankles when it's braided. So it's still somewhat impressive in the braided state.
As if Manis wasn't recognized enough by her hair, she is also known around Knoxville for her car, Ducky.
The flame duck mobile. Yeah, several years ago I hit a deer, busted the grill, needed something to hold it in place. Being with the fire department, I saw the flames and I thought that'll make a great little LeBra there. Next thing I know, I'm like, and I covered the whole thing in duct tape.
She says she's blown away with the love and support she is getting from all across the globe.
This is so surreal for me.
10 seconds to...
It's just who I am.
No buzz. Or sorry, no buzz.
I
No buzz gets straight.
just work every day, and now this has got a lot of attention, which I'm grateful for.
I guess I gotta wait a long time to beat that record. Well, you can download our app, get the latest on your weather, and if you download the app, you can see the radar and see that we're expecting some areas of some rain today. That rain just to the north of Highway 2 across much of northeast North Dakota from Devil's Lake to Grand Forks, and going to be expecting some chances of some light rain as the day goes on, moving its way further to the south. And if you're like me and you follow everything with the weather, and your social media feeds are filled with Hurricane Lee out there. It's currently a Category 3. It's been up to a Category 4, expected to be a Category 4 once again, and then tracking its way kind of up, maybe towards the Maine area, maybe up towards Halifax into Canada, but a strong hurricane right now, likely going to be becoming a post-tropical storm. But that is certainly going to be interesting here over the next couple of days with that hurricane moving through.
Yeah, but that's probably not going to have too many knock-on effects for us, right?
No, it's not going to have any effects for us. But hurricanes are fun to look at when they're in the ocean.
They are. They are. Volcanoes, hurricanes.
Yeah.
I gotta love it, right? All right. Thanks so much, Max. Coming up, enjoy the fruits of your labor this morning. It's one of the first celebrations of harvest season, and it's in 2 minutes.
Yo. Heavy 36. 36.
Amazing.
Take a buff.
0.9%.
15.
The exciting new Buick Vista. Get the best vehicles and the best prices with no games, no
10 seconds,
gimmicks,
no bump, straight to Emily.
Family Buick GMC, I-29 and 32nd Avenue, South Fargo. We are professional grade.
The Perseverance rover experiment creates oxygen on Mars for the final time. The first experiment to produce oxygen on another planet came to an end on Mars after they exceeded NASA's initial goals. The experiment also demonstrates capabilities that could help future astronauts actually explore more of the red planet. The microwave-sized device called MOXIE, or Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment, is on the Perseverance rover. The experiment was launched more than 2 years ago, just months after the rover made its landing on Mars. And since then, MOXIE's generated 122 grams of oxygen, which is equal to what a small dog will breathe over 10 hours. According to NASA, the instrument works by converting some of Mars's plentiful carbon dioxide into oxygen. First, one small step for a dog, one giant leap for mankind.
That's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
That's pretty cool, yeah. And then we're going to be sending Mark Watney up there, and he's going to grow potatoes.
Here on Earth, pretty good on oxygen, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
good on oxygen. A lot of clouds out there today as well to start things off for this morning. We are seeing some areas of some rain up further to the north along Highway 2 as this tracks slowly further to the south. Areas from Devil's Lake, Grand Forks, really a lot of areas into North Dakota along Highway 2. Going to be seeing some chances of at least some light rain out there. Some areas of some showers around the Jamestown area. Some cool weather for this afternoon. 65 today, 69 tomorrow. But the rest of the week, things looking really nice out there. We're going to be seeing those temperatures return into the 70s. Some very sunny skies out there. And by the time we get to the weekend, we're going to be seeing some still very clear skies. Those temperatures into the low 80s. So just some all-around nice weather after today and tomorrow out there. And then we see the nice rest of the week.
All right. Well, whatever we have to look forward to in terms of oxygen developments on other planets, at least here on Earth, we're in good shape for next weekend, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right. Thanks so much, Max. Family Feud is next. Catch all your news, weather, and sports throughout the day on KVRR.com and the KVRR Weather Authority app. Check out KVRR local news tonight at 6 and 9, and we'll see you in the morning.
Max Virginia's up. Nice.